Welcome to The Funny Kind with Erica Gumieny, bringing heart, humor, and hope to everyday life. Laughter and love really do make a difference, and Erica's here to prove it. Part deep dive, part stand up for the soul. This show blends humor, heart, and real talk to help you stop believing the lies that hold you back. Whether she's flying solo or chatting with guests, Erica brings her signature mix of authenticity, wit, and wisdom, reminding you that growth doesn't have to be so serious. So pull up a chair, exhale, and get ready to laugh, reflect, and reconnect with the extraordinary human you already are. Because this is The Funny Kind, where humor meets healing and inspiration meets action.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being with us at least when we're recording, it's a hot summer day on July 1st, and it's a little hot outside. So I'm glad we're inside in air conditioning. That's all I have to say. Thank God for air conditioning. So welcome to this episode of The Funny Kind. I'm very excited to have this conversation with a dear friend of mine and someone who I know that you are going to love and learn from and relate to. Her name is Susan Marshall. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about her. Hi, Susan.
Hey, Erica. Happy hot summer July 1st.
Yes. Yes. For those of you that are watching, we're both sleeveless.
Yeah, we are. Woo!
Which, yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about Susan. She is an author, a public speaker, a leadership advisor whose professional experience spans decades and a global geography. Susan's done a lot of work in the public and private sectors, in nonprofit agencies, public education, and her passion is really to advocate for improved competence, confidence, and effective risk taking. I've seen Susan do a lot of different workshops and seen her speak, and she has a wonderful way of exuding confidence and humility at the same time. There's not a for lack of a better word, a cockiness about her that makes you go, It's an authentic confidence that I really admire and am inspired by. So I love how you show up, my friend.
Thank you. How
yeah.
sweet is that?
Well, Susan is the author of 4 books, hundreds of articles. I love her books. I love her articles. She writes locally. She's been a guest lecturer. I mean, we could go on and on. A few years back, Susan launched something called Compassion Chats, which is a really cool way to bring Alzheimer's and dementia care providers to the caregiver community in an effort to kind of dispel the loneliness and helplessness that often comes with the caregiving journey. So, as we move in our careers, at one moment in our career, we're maybe talking about another topic, and then years later, here we're in a different season of life. So, but Susan's books, and I'll give the link to everything that you can find her blog and all of her information. She just shares such a wealth of information at susanmarshall.com. So that'll be in the description. But hi, Susan, officially welcome.
Hello, Erica. Officially, it's wonderful to be welcomed. I was thinking about it. We go back so far.
Yeah.
And have shared so many things that are delightful and frightening and very, very real.
Yeah. Susan is one of those people that when you see her across the room, there's a connection that you make that is real. And it's almost like we're checking in with each other. And then when we do sit down and have a one-on-one conversation, there is no chit chat. It is immediately deep.
And isn't that fun?
Yes.
There's so much chitter chatter. There's so much noise. It's like, you know what? What are we talking about?
What are we talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
So in today's podcast, we are talking about being free. And we picked that topic because it aligns with the theme of my book, Journey from the Ashes, shameless plug. every month in the book has a different theme, and we're walking through lies that hold us back in our journey from the ashes of our pain, our past, whatever might be holding us back. And so in this month of July, we're talking about being free. And when I thought about that, I thought about Susan, because I see you, Susan, as someone who lives. The last couple episodes, people have said, be where your feet are.
Mhm.
I have had two different people say that. I feel like you are in yourself. You are just who you are. And it means you're having fun. It means you're playing. It means you're serious. It means all the things that you are. And you are who you are. And you are free. When I think of free, you resonate to me with that. So what does free mean to you?
I love what you just said, because being free to me means being who you are. Now, that can take a very long time to discover exactly who that is.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're told from the time our first feet hit the floor and we take our very first tippy steps, we're told who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And then we try to live into that expectation, right? We talk about expectation a lot. And I've finally, over many, many years and many painful episodes, and many of them, came to appreciate and understand. And there's a moment, right, where we're in church and we're in a service and there's a sermon. And two things I remember so very clearly. One is that people think church is this holy place. And the pastor who was speaking said, this is not a celebration of this is a hospital for sinners.
Yeah.
And I thought, yes, and I belong here. And then the
Mm-hmm.
second thing that really struck me is, do you have any idea what it means when you hear the words, you are God's daughter?
Mm-hmm.
And that blew my mind. I'm like, no, right?
Yeah.
Because I know all the stuff, I know all the gunk, I know everything that's been wrong. And I'm like, yeah, God doesn't have time for me. Oh no, but he does.
Mm.
That, Erica, for me was just almost like an opening up.
Wow.
And you hear people in this world, on this planet with us, who are every bit as broken, who are every bit as frightened of being exposed, who are also God's children.
Mm.
And when we can relate to each other with a measure of compassion, with the giggles once in a while, right? It's like, yeah, whew. Um, it is so freeing to
Mm-hmm.
understand that the people who told you who you are or were telling you about them, not
Mm.
about you.
Mm. Wow. So freedom means free to you, and what that means to you. And when Susan and I were talking about this podcast, because we could be here for 8 hours. We
We
could be
could.
here till the seasons change and it gets chilly outside.
We could.
We could. But we were thinking about, like, in a lot of spaces in like coaching and things like that, there's talk of your future self, and imagining, visualizing yourself in a new place, where you want to be, where your goals are, where you've achieved whatever.
Mhm.
And we thought, wouldn't it be fun if we, in the current Erica and Susan place, go talk back to the old Erica and the old Susan, 12 versions of ourselves ago.
Right.
What would we tell them when it comes to freedom?
You know,
Um,
the
Go
very
ahead.
first word, Erica, that came to my mind just now, and I don't remember if we talked about this, is relax.
Mm,
Relax. You don't have to be there in 35 seconds. You don't have to respond every time somebody asks you a question. You don't have to be angry or upset because people are demanding things of you you don't want to do.
yeah.
Relax.
Mm.
You get to choose.
Oh, relax. I look back at when I talk to little Erica, who I've had a lot of conversations with writing this book and doing a lot of the work
Yeah.
that happens in your older age when your kids are grown and you kind of go, okay, blah,
Right.
what,
Reset.
yeah, reset, what's going on?
Mhm.
Um, and I look at her and I feel relaxed. I hear what you're saying, and I feel um, this constant, I don't like, we are not experiments to be proven right or wrong. And so I always felt like I had to prove myself or reach some goal, be busy, do to prove that I am worthy and wanted. And a lot of the themes in the book are things, this is for me, worthy, wanted, loved, enough,
Right.
and
Enough.
free.
What is
Sorry,
he? Enough. What is
enough.
he? Says who?
Oh my gosh. Yes. So, yes, probably Susan's next book or keynote or t-shirts or sticker or something. Says who? Tell us more about that. So, just to finish my thought, I was just going to say that what I would tell little Erica is that you are enough, like you're saying, and you are God's daughter, like you said. And honey, you are, oh my goodness, look at you. Just the way you are. Look at your hazel eyes. Look at your squinty little hazel eyes. Look at your strawberry blonde hair. Look at how you make people laugh. Look at you. Look at what a connector you are of people. Look at how well you take care of those people. Look at you. Like my pastor always says, look at you. Look at that. He's so sweet. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, we're so darn hard on ourselves.
Yeah, we are.
So let's talk about this who says. I love it because I'm like, that's what she said. That's a different tone.
Right, right, right. No, the who says comes from, as we talked the other day, expectations. From the
Mm-hmm.
time we come out of the womb, there are expectations placed on us by our parents. When are you going to take your first step? When are you going to say your first word? When are you going to eat your first solids? When are you going to be potty trained, right? When are you going to learn to tell, when I said clean up your room, you're going to go clean up your room, right?
Yeah.
Then we go to school and we have teachers and we have coaches. And if we go to church, we have ministers and we have, leaders in the church. Then we have coaches, perhaps if we're in sports. Then we have bosses. Then we have corporations. Then we have society. And then we have social media. Oh, man.
Oh,
Oh, man. And so when I hear probably the most adamant demands placed on me, and it's always a work, as you know, says who?
yeah.
Says who? Who? It's like, when we're two, you're not the boss of me.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
fact is, nobody's the boss of us
Mm-hmm.
except the one who made us.
Oh, I'm thinking of a talk that I did recently called Who Do You Think You Are?
Yeah.
And I had a mirror up on the stage with different colored post-it notes. And
Oh,
just like you're saying, like this is all the people, all these things that people have told me. And it covers up the mirror so much that I can't even see myself anymore.
right.
And this stage of life that we're in, or whatever is happening in your life that you might be listening right now, where you're like, something's got to give here, man. And now I'm like looking at all these post-it notes and I'm like, what is this? Throw that out. What is this? And now once I've kind of cleaned it up and I can see myself, now you don't dare be putting no post-it notes on my mirror unless you go through God and me first.
Right. Well, and I think there's sort of an enigma buried in that because as long as there are post-it notes covering the mirror, I don't have to see what I really look like, right? Ew, I can just be who I am.
Girl, that's
And
good.
I think if women generally, and this was in my book of Beauty and Substance, if you got away from the mirror and got out into the world, you'd be a much happier human.
Oh, too much self-focus.
And it's encouraged. And it goes back to that word enough. If you don't look quite like this, if you have this wrinkle, bag, sag, gray hair, whatever that is, then you're not enough. No, that's not right. You are somehow deficient.
Mm-hmm.
And if we are
As who,
deficient, however we define deficient, or we're taught to be deficient, yeah, that's when I get stubborn. And now I say, says who?
as who.
You know what? I reject that. Because
Mhm.
now I don't reject it just because I'm rebellious, and I am. I reject it because that is your definition of me, which does not sit well, which does not accurately describe, and it's not true. It's just not true.
Yeah. And that had to have required a lot of work to pull that back and dig into what was holding you in bondage, let's say, that you weren't even aware of. Can you think of an example? I'm just throwing
Oh,
this. I mean, geez.
um, it's kind of a funny thing to say, but when I was in eighth grade, my mother sewed a lot of our clothes, which was a source of tremendous embarrassment to us, right?
Mm.
Particularly in grade school. Well, she sewed my eighth grade graduation dress, which was hideous, but it's what she wanted, not what I wanted. So, and she had these little cuffs, right, that she was making, and she's like, "Oh, Susie, you're getting so fat." That stayed with me my entire life.
Oh,
And I thought, adolescent, I mean, I'm watching my granddaughters now, beautiful young women. Adolescence, puberty, yes, you gain weight. Your body is developing, it's blossoming. And that was completely destroyed for me. And I carried that definition for years.
mm.
And it's so silly, but it was so damaging. I mean, you and I have talked about this over the years. The things you hear as a child,
Ugh.
you have no means of, there's no benchmark for them.
Yeah.
So you hear them, you say, well, that must be true because this
Right.
older person who I'm dependent on for many
Yeah.
things told me that.
Yes.
It must be
Yes.
true.
Yes. Yeah. How did so we're going back to talk to our old
Yeah.
Susan
Yeah.
who heard that.
Yeah.
Other than saying that's not true, don't listen to that. How do you how do you it's almost like I'm thinking of Harry Potter when
Yeah.
Dumbledore takes out that memory and pulls it
Right.
out.
Yeah.
How did you find a way to freedom from that?
Well, it's interesting because it was not easy and it was not linear and it took many, 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 many years. I was a comfort food eater.
Mm-hmm.
Potato chips, bring them, baby. I
Yep.
loved to bake. So when I babysat, there was one family, it's so funny. We're thinking about this now because it's mortifying as I think about it now, but it's funny. She was a baker. And so the kids would go to bed and I'd go through all the cupboards. What did she bake? Ooh, these bars. And I would just, anything I can get in my mouth was my comfort, which of course made the problem worse.
Mm,
But I didn't know how to deal with the rejection, the abandonment, the judgment, all that felt like. And so I ate.
mm,
And I still do, by the way, but I work out, so it's all good. But we, as I said, when we're children and we hear things that are so discordant from how we see our own selves, and we have no means of even understanding it,
yeah.
we can't cope.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think as we talked the other day, there are these episodes and even whole chapters of our lives that are very difficult, that are very dark, that are so discouraging, and they are all necessary
Mm.
on the journey to freedom.
Oh, yes.
And I just got sick of being a chunkster.
Mm,
I just got sick of it. I'm like,
mm,
okay, well, what do I do instead? And I found different ways. What I
mhm.
what I have learned repeatedly over the years, Erica, is if I can be curious about something, I get outside of me. That's very, very helpful.
Oh, I really love that. If you can get curious about something, you step outside of yourself.
Yeah.
And don't you think, and I think this is why the Journey from the Ashes book and the long process that took me, and it's not like, oh, the book is over, I'm free, I'm fixed.
Yeah.
No,
No, good luck with that.
yeah. If we'd be sitting on a beach having this conversation if that was the
Uh-huh.
case, because I'd be making millions. But what it taught me is, and I've been sober from alcohol for just over 2 years since
Good for
the day
you.
my sister passed away. Wasn't intended to be a sober journey or anything. That wasn't like, you know, rock bottom or anything like that. It was just we were having a lot of trauma that came out of nowhere. It was very traumatic for our family, and I knew that I needed to be really crystal clear to go through that. And through that experience, and the book was already being written and working on and things like that, but when you talk about like the coping mechanisms that we do, it's almost like how those post-it notes covered up the mirror. The
Right.
coping makes it blurry so I can't see myself.
Absolutely true.
And I
And,
was
and there's
distorted.
some comfort in that.
Mhm.
I can't see the real me until I am ready. And
Oh,
that's such an iterative, I'm ready today, I'm not ready. An hour later, I'm not ready. No, no, put the post-its back. It's just, it is messy.
yeah, it is messy. And like you said, it's not linear. And I think I wrote about this today that a friend of mine wrote a song for me. She's a songwriter. She's an award-winning songwriter. She's so cool. She's a dear
Right?
friend of mine and a breaker of chains for women. She does this really cool thing called When Stories and has women come up and talk. And it's usually something very intense. She's amazing. And she wrote this song. It's called Coming Home to You. Come Home to You. I'll send it to you and put it in the description. But
Love it.
um, in the beginning of the scene, I made a like video to go with her song with all these different images, and I found a hot air balloon
Yeah,
because the sandbags is the stuff that I think about most often. I focus a lot of my time on the sandbags in my life, and why did they say that to me? Why did that happen to
right,
me? Why did those terrible things happen? We
right.
spend so much time feeling sorry for ourselves, feeling like victims, being, the book is not called Journey, staring at the ashes.
Right.
But you had said something that really resonates is that curiosity to be like, isn't that interesting that I feel that way? And I know my therapist taught me about that, but it's like, once you look at it, it loses its power over you. Like you clean a little part of the mirror and you're like, well, that wasn't so bad. Oh, look
Right.
what I learned because of that. Oh, all right. Hmm.
Yep. It's interesting. Speaking of nonlinear, I had an extraordinary opportunity, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, to go to Brunei and work with a global team through the University of Michigan. And it was wonderful and it was awful and it was so different than anything I had done. It was a 10-day trip and I came home and I said, I'm not going back.
Mm,
I don't care about their kids. I care about our kids, right? I don't want to be on coaching calls at 1 o'clock in the morning. But
mm.
but I was for some reason, it brought everything that I had been told about me that was deficient. It brought it front and center. And I
Wow.
remember one Friday night sitting, I went to a friend in the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I said, how do I travel internationally? She said, get a anti-diarrhea pill, get a sleeping pill. When you get on the plane in Newark to Singapore, take a sleeping pill, don't eat anything, don't drink anything. Blah. I'm like, okay, well, get on the plane in Newark and you're greeted out, would you like a glass of wine? Yes, or with champagne? Yes, I would. Would you like some mixed nuts with that? Yes, I would. Would you like dinner? Yes, I would. Would you like wine with dinner? Yes, I would. So I'm having my own little party, right? Fabulous. All of that. And it was fine. The way back was not the same. But after I got back, for whatever reason, I found myself in one of the darkest tunnels I had ever experienced
Huh.
to that time. And the sleeping pill that I was given was lorazepam.
Hmm.
Now, my next door neighbor said, that's not a sleeping pill. I take two every morning before I go to work. I'm like, okay, I don't have that kind of tolerance. Anyway, I had probably 20, they're teeny tiny little things, 20, and I had a glass of Chardonnay, and I sat there for 20 minutes, Erica, and thought, you know what? These are so tiny. Finish that wine, I'm done.
Wow.
I'm done. I'm gone. I can't do this anymore. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do next. I just said no to this big gig. And I remember sitting there thinking, you know what, I'm just tired.
Hmm.
I don't want to be happy anymore. I don't want to have people think I got my shit together. 20 minutes. And then I finally went, are you serious? You would do this to your kids?
Hmm.
You would do this to your grandkids? Get over yourself. Down the toilet they went. Don't tell the city that. And wine went into the kitchen down the sink. But it was one of those moments. And I think about so often God saying, yours to choose.
Mm. Yours to choose.
Yours to choose.
Thank you for sharing that very personal situation. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, and I'm glad that you are here. And
yeah, me too.
wow.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And I guess the point of that story, Erica, is it's not a linear process. We're better than we're not, but we always get to choose. And I think that freedom is truly a gift that I think we make light of at times where we probably shouldn't.
Yeah. And I think that there's so much we could talk about, and I wish we had hours. I think that those moments that you've had of this clarity of who says what freedom means to you, and the various iterations of Susan and Erica that have happened since, our little toes hit the ground, like you said. We've transformed into different versions of ourselves, and here we are now in this, I call it peri-retirement, mitty bitty. I'm not old, I'm not young, I'm not totally gray, but I'm definitely gray. I'm kind of in this weird.
It is weird.
And I think back, and if I could say it, like, if I could sit down and, like, before she did some things that make me shudder when I remember them, I go, oh my gosh. Right. Oh, how did I survive that? Oh my gosh, how embarrassing. Like when you see old pictures of yourself, thank God there wasn't social media. Oy.
Amen to that, sister.
Yeah. But like you said, all of those things, rather than feeling shame about it, just, it happened. They happened. Some I'm not proud of, but here I am, and I am God's daughter. And I'm not going to let, pardon my language, that shit hold me back anymore. I am who I am, and you don't get to tell me. And even the in me head voice doesn't get to tell me.
But we will try to tell us, and others will continue to try to tell us. So that's where the ability to just shut out the noise is essential. Essential. So,
well, thank you for being here with us. I feel like this time went too fast.
Yeah, great.
Oh my gosh. And I just love the work that you do that really takes people from, kind of that self-focus of building your confidence, getting a backbone, feeling strong and confident, to caring for your parents, caring for someone, just the kind of spectrum of life that happens to us and the journey that we're on, and that you bring us alongside you with your vulnerability and your authenticity, so that it opens up these conversations for people. Because in those dark moments that you talked about, in that dark tunnel, I know there are people who are feeling that.
No question. Yeah.
And what would you say to those people who are listening right now, who are like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling imprisoned?
Rest. Find a friend you can say that to. You are not alone.
Yeah. And you are God's daughter or son. You are God's baby. Yeah, you are not alone. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you, my friend. Again, SusanMarshall.com.
Susan A. Marshall.
Oh, Susan A. Marshall.
Yes.
Didn't they say I was old? SusanAMarshall.com. Susan
A. Good.
Hey. All right. Well, my friend, I love you. Thank you. And we'll see you guys on the next episode of The Funny Kind.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to The Funny Kind with Erica Gumieny, where humor meets healing and inspiration meets action. If this episode made you laugh, think, or become inspired, be sure to like, share, and tell a friend who could use a dose of heart and humor today. And don't forget to tune in to The Funny Kind, right here on Transformation Talk Radio, for more real talk, big laughs, and light bulb moments. Want to connect with Erica and learn more about turning your pivotal moments into powerful growth? Visit yourpivotalpoint.com. Until next time, keep laughing, keep loving, and keep spreading a little bit of funny and a whole lot of kind.